Okay, this is Detective Mike Wyche of Sarasota that fabricated a complaint on me and had my house ransacked like Gestapo, knocked my mom over, had a bunch of dogs, 20 cops, just so they could kidnap me and put a link, an easement on the property with taxpayer money while I'm detained, just like they did in the Boston bomb, just like they did in the Parkland shooting submittal where we turned in the funding after Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. This is after 10 years. They're still doing it after they fraudulated the October 5th sale by switching out 2,000 acres. This cop here worked with 72 partners in Ed Morale. And here's what happened last February. And they still got me in Sarasota when this judge already dismissed the whole thing, couldn't believe how crooked it was. This Sarasota cop here needs to go to prison. He's purposely blocking the water.
You said that you interviewed Mr. Morell, correct?
I spoke with Mr. Morell, yes.
And he is the attorney for 72 Partners, correct?
Yes, sir.
And
I didn't get to see a judge for 4 months. They took my due process. They said COVID. DeSantis wrote a special thing where you don't get to see any judges anytime. There were kids in there for a year and a half. That's how crooked Florida is now in the U.S.
And you reviewed the documents provided to you by Mr. Morell.
Correct.
Who else did you speak to?
Nobody.
I believe that was it. He has assistants that I did speak with, but I don't have their names written down.
Did you ever interview the defendant, Mr. Gilberti?
I did not.
So as if you did not interview him, did you give him an opportunity to present you with any documents for your review in deciding whether he should be charged with this criminal offense?
No, I was already in possession of all the documents that he had sent in through legal guidelines.
Did you interview
What does that mean?
witnesses such as Patricia Dowdy regarding the deed she signed granting land and mineral rights to Mr. Gilberti?
No, I did not interview her.
Now, you're aware that civil litigation has been ongoing in this case, and actually federal and state, correct?
Yes, I've reviewed multiple civil cases and complaints. Yes, sir.
And you basically, except for maybe some conversation with Mr. Morell's assistant, you relied on everything that Mr. Morell was telling you. Is that correct?
I reviewed a lot of the documents within the clerk of the court too, where you can find the lien that was filed.
But nevertheless, the extent of your interviews was basically Mr. Morell, the attorney for 72 Partners, correct?
Yes.
And you decided basically as the result to intervene in a civil dispute, correct?
There was a criminal complaint made, and the sheriff's office and myself found it to be criminal based on the lien. So the charges were filed.
Well, you would acknowledge that even today there is pending state civil, and federal civil litigation, correct?
There are multiple cases involving him and multiple other people involving this land, correct?
But there's active appeals going on in some of these cases that you're referring to, correct?
I believe so, yes.
They have not been dismissed as frivolous. They're actually pending litigation, correct?
They are pending litigation, yes.
Okay. And
so
you
kidnap
would
me.
agree that Mr. Morell, as the attorney for 72 Partners, is an advocate on behalf of 72 Partners, correct?
Yes.
And even he has a bias on behalf of 72 Partners because he wants to convince you to file criminal charges against his civil opponent, correct?
Of course, but that's why we check everything in the clerk of the court as well.
He didn't check anything. What they were doing was they were getting an easement to pay these guys, these good old boys, money, $3.5 million. The land bid to 200 grand because they switched out the legal description, then certified the 200 grand on the whole 2,300 acres. They switched it to 95 acres, and he knows that. Then they came and did this to me so they could put an easement on it, because I would have stopped the taxpayers from losing $3.5 million, because now the taxpayers lose $3.5 million because of this cop. He just stole $3.5 million, this cop, with 72 partners in Sarasota County Commission.
But nevertheless, you made no attempt to contact Mr. Gilberti or any of his witnesses to get a full understanding of what was going on, correct?
Correct. I didn't find that necessary.